Hi guys, my name is Sharvin. In this video, I'm going to do demonstration for practical task 3, which is about a multi-area OSPF. Okay, let's start with part 1, design and build network. So this is my uh, logical diagram. So it got 5 network, as you can see, from PC to R1 to PC, R1 to R2, R2 to R3, R2 to PC2, and R3 to PC3. Okay, and here got area 0, OSPF area 0, area 1, and area 2. Okay, now let's see our physical diagram here. Okay, as you can see, this is my physical diagram. Got 3 PC inside wiring closet. Zoom it a bit. Okay, as you can see, R1, R3, R1, R2, then connection between PC and routers. Okay, let's back to logical diagram. Now I'm going to show about addressing table. So as you can see, this is a addressing table for IPv4 here. Okay, as you can see, R1 got two interfaces, gigabit Ethernet 0/0, serial interface 0/0/0, R2 router 2 got three interfaces, gigabit 0/0, serial interface 0/0/0, and serial interface 0/0/1. Okay, and another last router R3 gigabit got two interfaces as R1 gigabit 0/0 and serial interface 0/0/1. Okay, now the three PCs are all configured with DHCP, and this is about addressing table for IPv6. As you can see, same interfaces such as like IPv4, but got different address, which I assign IPv6 address and link local for each devices and PCs. Okay, I think that's all in part 1, design and build network. Now let's start our part 2, configure basic configuration. Okay, I'm gonna take R1 such as an example. Go to CLI. Okay, click enter. Okay, you can see up here got MOTD, a banner MOTD, and password for name console password. I assign class as my console password. Okay, enable. So when we give command enable, it will ask enable password. So I give Cisco as my enable password. Okay, now let's see our configuration. So I'm gonna give a show run config, show run to see our configuration. Okay, as you can see, I configured the router name, enable password. As you can see, the password is encrypted because I give the service password encryption. If I didn't give a service password encryption, means in this show running config, in front here got no. Okay, as you can see, banner MOTD, and the console line here got password already encrypted, login synchronized, login, and line VTY, and its password login local, and this is for SSH, transport input SSH. I am going to show configuration for SSH. So first we're gonna give IP SSH version 2, IP domain first before give IP version 2, IP SSH version 2, and then we're gonna give IP version SSH version 2, and give username and password for SSH, and then give transport input SSH in line VTY4. Okay, that's all in SSH secure remote access. Okay, let's see. Here got no IP domain lookup command. This command helps to speed up loading process when we incorrectly given a wrong command or typing typo commands. Okay, now I'm gonna show you guys about a DHCP. Okay, show IP DHCP pool. Okay, this is my DHCP which I configured in R1. Okay, as you can see, the IP default router I assigned, the IP range, and I name of DHCP. You can see in show run also. Okay, you can see here, in here also I allowed I configured DHCP, give network and DHCP name, DHCP pool name, and default router. Okay, now I'm gonna show you guys interfaces I configured in R1. Okay, I'm gonna give show interface IP and the interface brief. Okay, as you can see, the interface I configured and its status, it's up, and the IP address and the interfaces and serial interface which I configured. Okay, you can see by show IP route also. The connected. See. Okay, now I'm gonna show you guys the interface IPv6 interfaces I configured. So show same like that, show IPv6 int brief. Okay, as you can see, the interface which is hub and the link local and IP. This is the IPv6 and the link local address, and this is the interface I upped in IPv6, a link local and IPv6. Okay, can give show IPv6 route also. Okay, the link local, this is the IPv6 which I configured, the link local. Okay, that's all in part 2, configure basic configuration. Now let's start configure part 3, configure multi-area OSPF. Okay, I'm gonna use that R1 also router 1 to show OSPF configuration in R1. Okay, let's give command show OS IP OSPF neighbor. You can see the neighbor ID and the address, interface also. If you want to see full configuration, you can give show IP OSPF interface. Okay, it will show which interface up for OSPF. and the IP router ID, area, you can see area here, area 0, area, this is area 0 in gigabit Ethernet 0/0, this is area 1, and area 0, router ID, and adjacent with neighbor, which ID is adjacent with neighbor, and that's all in OSPF v2. And now I'm going to show OSPF v3. And v2, or difference between v2 and v3 is v2 is about IPv4 and v3 is about IPv6. I'm going to show OSPF v3. Same command which is used previously, but slightly different. We're gonna give IP in previously, but now I'm going to give IPv6 neighbor, OSPF neighbor, sorry, OSPF neighbor. Okay, you can see the neighbor ID and the interface ID and interfaces. Okay, if we want to see IPv6 OSPF for IPv6 detailed, okay, we can give show IPv6 interface, IPv6 OSPF interface to see more detailed. Okay, so you can see the interfaces, local link address, the area, what is the area. Okay, the local in serial, this is gigabit Ethernet 0/0, this is serial. You can see link local address and area, adjacent with which neighbor, adjacent with 2.2.2.2 neighbor, which is ID for R2, OSPF ID for R2. Okay, if we want to see all the configuration such as basic configuration or multi-area OSPF configuration, we will give show running config, or in small you can type show run also command. You can see all the configuration we configured, SSH in the gigabit interface, the IP, IPv6 address, link local address IP for IPv6, IPv6 this is OSPF for IPv6, and interface in interface serial 0/0, the IP address and subnet for IPv4, and address for IPv6, link local address and addresses for IPv6, and OSPF for IPv6, and this is OSPF for IPv4. You can see detailed configuration detail here. Okay, that's all in part 3, configure multi-area OSPF. Okay, now I'm going to do part 4, which is last part, test configuration. Okay, now let's test our basic configuration, which is DHCP. Okay, go to PC1. I'm going to show all the I'm going to show all PCs here. Okay, move to static and again DHCP, requesting IP address. See, the DHCP request is successful for PC1. This is for DHCP PC2. You can see DHCP request is successful. Okay, let's see PC3. Okay, the DHCP request is successful. Okay, now let's see multi-area OSPF. So we're gonna give we're gonna ping ping from PC1 to all interfaces. Okay, ping, and we're gonna give all the interfaces here. First interface. Okay, this is successful, which is interface for R1 gigabit Ethernet 0/0 and serial interface. Now serial interface for R1 serials 0/0/0. Okay, this is also successful. Now let's move on to R2. R2 gigabit 0/0 IP 21.31.65. Okay, you can see this is also successful. And serial interface 0/0 for R2. Okay, this is also successful. Let's ping last interface in R2, which is serial 0/0/0. 38.31.117. Okay, this is also successful. Okay, now let's start with R3 gigabit 0/0. Okay, you can see this interface is successful. IP interface is successful. Okay, let's ping another IP for IP interface, which is interface for serial 0/0/1 for R3 31.118. You can see this is successful for IPv4. I'm going to give for IPv6, ping for IPv6 here. A ping for easy my work. I'm going to copy this address and ping here. This IP for is for R1 gigabit 0/0. Now IP for R1 interface serial 0/0/0. Okay, the ping is successful. Now let's move on pinging interfaces in ping for interface R2 interface gigabit 0/0. Okay, the ping is successful. This is the IP for R2 interface serial 0/0/0. Sorry, I give comment wrong here. Okay, now the last interface for R2, which is serial interface 0/0/1. Okay, now let's move on to R3. Okay, the for R3 it's successfully pinged. Now let's see. Let's move on to PC. And this so we ping in PC1, so we don't want to give IP for PC1. So let's move on to PC2. Okay, the PC2 is ping between PC2 is successful. Let's move on to PC3. Okay, you can see the ping with PC3 also successful. Now you can see IPv4 and IPv6 can successfully ping each other by using OSPF. So now at last I'm going to give SSH test for SSH. So we have to give SSH negative L and the username for SSH, which is admin, and any IP if you want to give. Okay, let's take the IP for this interface, which is R3 serial 0/0/1. Okay, it's ask password. The password is admin 0/1. Okay, now you can access uh, serial R3 by connecting with interface serial 0/0/1. Okay, now I'm gonna exit from it. Okay, I'm done my test configuration part 4. That's all in my demonstration about practical task 3 multi-area OSPF. Thank you very much.